The woman noticed the flavor was off while eating the shredded pork. She looked up and saw the vendor expressionlessly biting into a sour lemon. She immediately stirred a large spoonful of salt into the dish. After mixing it well, she brought it to the vendor. She asked if he had forgotten the salt, questioning why it was so bland. But the vendor was certain he had followed the precise seasoning ratios. Seeing his attire and apron, she didn't think he was looking for trouble. She took a bite and tasted it herself. Surprisingly, he admitted he forgot the salt and offered to remake it for her. The woman immediately concluded that this vendor had lost his sense of taste. But she recalled how he handled the crab meat earlier. His nice skills and technique when prepping the ingredients. And the precision with which he balanced the rice wine, sugar, and salt. The woman was certain he was no ordinary street vendor. Her restaurant happened to be in desperate need of a master-level chef. So, she gladly invited him to join the restaurant as the head chef. "I'll join. But not as the head chef. I'll work as a prep cook. But everyone in the kitchen must follow my lead." The boss lady had a sharp eye indeed. It turned out this man was once the youngest genius chef in history. Hailed as the successor to the god of cooking, his arrogance and ego led to his downfall at an international culinary championship. He used unverified, radical ingredients without authorization. Little did he know, his rival had poisoned him. The judges were poisoned and died on the spot. And because he had tasted the dish himself, his taste buds were permanently damaged. Worse, the mentor who had championed him died of grief. From that day on, he vanished without a trace. 10 years later, to scrape by, he was forced to work at a restaurant as a prep cook. Though his sense of taste was gone, his knife skills and technique remained flawless. The petty head chef feared he would steal the spotlight. So he went out of his way to suppress him. He mocked him as a degenerate who couldn't even taste a salted egg. Fit only to be his assistant. These cutting words didn't provoke the man at all. He simply stayed quiet and did his job. One day, the head chef ordered him to prepare the seasoning for the red braised pork. The man prepared the rock sugar in minutes. Star anise, cooking wine, scallions, and soy sauce, all ready to go. The head chef was stunned that he didn't even use a measuring spoon, yet had balanced the seasonings with such precision. When his shift ended, the boss lady came in for a meeting. He said the management was very satisfied with the dishes, especially the layered depth of the red braised pork. It was like nothing they had ever tasted before. He immediately handed over a 30,000 yuan bonus to the kitchen staff. But the head chef took all the credit for himself. After throwing a few scraps to the apprentices, he completely ignored the real mastermind behind it. He even mocked the man as just a prep cook who could only chop vegetables. Worthless beyond that. He told him to stick to making tea and washing dishes from then on. The man could take no more. He packed his tools and walked out of the restaurant. He ended up setting up a street stall. Although his culinary skills were exceptional, the food he prepared always had a strange, off-putting flavor. But he himself couldn't taste it. Until one day, the boss lady of a nearby restaurant passed by. She watched his technique in prepping the crab, and his precise control over the ratio of cooking wine. She realized this was no ordinary street vendor's work. The way he balanced the aged distiller's grains, sugar, and salt was clearly at a master's level. She immediately ordered a plate of the stir-fried crab. One bite in, she noticed that aside from the flavor being a bit odd, everything else was perfect. So, she ordered the fish-fragrant shredded pork. As expected, it still had that strange aftertaste. She immediately added a large spoonful of salt. After stirring, she demanded to know if he had forgotten the salt. He simply apologized repeatedly after tasting it. "I knew it." She showed no fear. Still, she invited him to be the head chef at her restaurant. But the man refused without a moment's hesitation. Just then, the manager came to drive him away. The assistant hurried to urge the boss to leave. Yet she refused to give up. If the restaurant couldn't find a capable head chef, her father's Wanchong Pavilion would fall to their rivals. The man froze upon hearing the name Wanchong Pavilion. Wasn't that his mentor's restaurant? He called out to her immediately. He told her he would work as a prep cook, but not as head chef. A look of relief lit up her face, as if she had found a treasure. The next day, the man arrived at the restaurant for his first shift. He walked in to find an influencer live streaming. Just then, she received a phone call. "It's all taken care of. I'll make sure her place gets dragged through the mud." Little did she know, the man had quietly recorded their conversation. The influencer immediately launched into her act. First, she griped that the fish was tough and stale. Then, she fumed that the red braised pork was inedibly salty. She warned everyone to stay away from the restaurant. Hearing this, the boss lady hurried over, patiently trying to explain the situation. But the woman nitpicked everything, leaving the boss speechless. That was when the man nearby held up his recording to expose the influencer's lie. "It's not worth a penny from now on. Don't you forget it." The mastermind behind it all emerged from the shadows. The man instantly recognized him as the rival who sabotaged him years ago. The rival's goal was to seize the mentor's restaurant for himself. According to association regulations, if the restaurant fails to meet the revenue quota next month, the property rights will be revoked and reallocated. The man told him to give up on that idea right now. He would make sure to save the restaurant. The rival laughed, claiming a mere prep cook couldn't change a thing. He couldn't wait to see the man's failure in a month. He didn't expect that, not long after he left, several head chefs at the restaurant were planning to resign. They didn't believe this loudmouthed prep cook could turn things around. But he wouldn't coddle them just because of their seniority. Instead, he pointed out the flaws in their cooking right away. Starting with the red braised pork. The sauce was cloudy and separated from the oil. That meant the oil temperature was already off when they thickened it. He then pointed out the steamed fish, its skin dry and eyes sunken. It proved they had oversteamed it by at least a minute and a half. None of them were convinced after hearing that. So he walked into the kitchen to show them how it's done. Even for a dish as simple as vinegar-glazed shredded potatoes. In barely a minute, he julienned the potatoes into strands of identical length and thickness. And his seasoning ratios were more precise than any scale. Everyone was instantly blown away by his skill. Under his leadership, this legendary restaurant finally rose from the ashes. The diners came in an endless stream every day. The media even rushed to cover their comeback. This infuriated his struggling rival. Seeing that their head chef was the prep cook he once considered a degenerate, the rival was absolutely livid. He demanded that his head chef bring him back. She had no choice but to bite the bullet and go to Wanchong Pavilion to arrogantly persuade him to return. Don't waste your time working at a pathetic dump like this. But before she could even speak, the boss informed her that he was her business partner. He holds 15% of the shares at Wanchong Pavilion. She told her to leave at once before she dirted the place. Furious, the rival lashed out with a threat. He vowed to make her beg for mercy at the culinary championship in a week. We'll settle this on the main stage. Soon, the day of the competition arrived.
Open the Simi TV app and watch the full series now.